Like all modern reboots of older franchises, the Jurassic Park/World franchise is cruising on fumes. It's a hollow shell of its former self, desperately clinging on to its glory days, which honestly only lasted for 1.5 movies. Jurassic Park pretty much said all it had to say, and there's really nowhere else for the franchise to go with that concept. It was done in one and just needed to be left alone. But Hollywood is in its I can't think of anything new era, and it's desperately banking on the nostalgia factor of these old established brands to get people to buy tickets. Over the years I've built up an immunity to it, but I did go and watch the first and second Jurassic World movies when they came out, and God help me, are they garbage. The second one was a downright travesty, somehow managing to be both utterly retarded and mind-numbingly boring. The first one wasn't much better, but it did have one thing going for it. A pretty damn sweet dinosaur rumble right at the very end. And honestly, that's all I wanted. I've already seen Jurassic Park. You're never gonna be Jurassic Park, and you don't have to be. I don't need another story about a damn theme park where man plays God and screws it up. It's been done as good as it ever will be. Just give me dinosaurs fucking shit up. Enter Primitive War. The year is 1968, the Vietnam War is in full swing, and CCR's Fortunate Son is the only song in existence. A group of Green Berets on a clandestine mission goes missing, and a recon unit known as Vulture Squad is sent in to find out what happened. During this operation, they're attacked by an enemy they never in 1,000,000 or 65 million years would have expected. Dinosaurs. Now they have to not only survive a situation that nothing could have prepared them for, they also have to figure out what's going on and if there's any way to stop it before all of mankind is doomed to become Dino Chow. It's a fairly ridiculous premise, and quite unexpectedly on my part, Primitive War plays it completely straight. I went in expecting a goofy, over-the-top action romp with lots of gore and cheesy one-liners, but what I got was a surprisingly straight-faced war movie. Now don't misunderstand me, it's not Platoon or Hamburger Hill, but for a movie with such an oddball concept, it would have been completely justified in just flying off the rails, but it keeps itself pretty buttoned down, and I wound up really digging that. The men of Vulture Squad find themselves in an utterly bizarre situation, freak out as anyone would, then gather themselves and get down to business. The story and dialogue is mostly pretty good. The soldiers of Vulture Squad are solid, manly men, something of a rarity these days. Tough as nails, but not bulletproof physically or psychologically. A few of them have PTSD issues that haunt them, but when it's go time, they all rise to the challenge. The whole thing brings to mind dog soldiers, real-world guys who find themselves in a situation that defies any real-world logic, and instead of curling up in the fetal position and sucking their thumbs, they lace up and get to swinging. The action in Primitive War starts off chaotic and choppy, and I was worried that this was going to be the way it went through the whole movie. Sometimes when filmmakers want to hide something, such as bad CG or choreography, they employ techniques like shaky cam or choppy editing. Now that's how the first action scene goes, but thankfully it doesn't stay that way. It's kind of like when the Colonial Marines and aliens make first contact with the Xenomorphs. They had no idea what they were facing, they're firing their guns in any and every direction, it's just madness and confusion. But after a while the action gets less chaotic and you're able to enjoy some great soldiers versus dinosaurs fights, ultimately culminating in a gloriously over-the-top final climax where the heroes turn on the infinite ammo cheat and it's all teeth, claws, bullets, blood, guts, and explosions. It's where the movie says, "Alright motherfuckers, I know what you're here for, so here it is." It's awesome. For a lower budget movie, the effects are pretty damn good. There's a few scenes where you go, yep, that's CG, but by and large, nothing looks shoddy and certainly nothing is half-assed. I couldn't find the movie's budget, but I'm sure it's not huge, and it looks like every cent is right up there on the screen. It's honestly impressive how slim the gap between big and small budget CG has become. The plot and pacing does have some issues. There's some spots that drag a bit. Scenes where we're just watching the soldiers walking along or boating down a river could have been shortened a little bit, but it wasn't enough to be really annoying. Now I say that, but juxtapositionally, these are also some pretty damn cool scenes. Seeing the soldiers banter while walking along with a herd of apatosauruses just looks really cool. Such a mundane act, like walking and talking, takes on a whole new dimension of weird when there's a bunch of giant 30-ton creatures casually milling about. There's something about how calm and nonchalantly this particular scene plays out that just makes it so cool, and one of my favorites in a movie that also has a scene with a guy chopping off a bunch of velociraptor heads with a machete. There are also a few points that feel a little bit convenient, as though what the story needed to happen just happened, such as the right person or dinosaur showing up right where they need to be at the right moment. But the movie is entertaining enough that I let it slide, and I'm not here to nitpick a scrappy little movie that does such a damn fine job of punching above its weight. Besides, y'all ought to know by now that I'm heavily biased towards low-budget flicks. They've been a big portion of my movie-watching diet for practically my whole life, and as I've said before, I'm always more impressed by what smaller filmmakers can do with what they don't have than I am with what big-budget studios can't do with what they do have. Smaller movies are where you look to see what true creatives can cook up with limited means. I also want to cast a spotlight on Luke Spark. Not only is he the writer and director of Primitive War, he also produced, edited, did production design, worked in the VFX department. A guy that can wear that many hats and crank out something this entertaining might be someone to keep an eye on. It calls to mind Robert Rodriguez, another guy who started small, did as much as he could himself, and wound up becoming one of the best filmmakers out there. Primitive War is exactly what I wanted from a dinosaur action movie. It's the type of B-movie I would have rented from the video store on a Friday night as a kid, and I mean that as praise. Where the original Jurassic Park served its prehistoric terror with a side of thought-provoking ideas, Primitive War just asks, "Hey kid, wanna see army men fighting dinosaurs?" It's not here to philosophize, it's not here to ask grand questions about man's place in nature or the universe, it's just here to entertain. And sure, it's got a little of that other stuff, but where the Jurassic World movies think they're smarter than they actually are, Primitive War knows where it stands. That's not to say it's stupid, it's just that unlike Jurassic World, it's not pretending or naively convinced that it's something it isn't. Also, unlike any of the Jurassic World movies, it has a reason to exist. If you're able to catch it in theaters, do so. It's a great time. If not, rent this bad boy. You will not be sorry. Thank you all so much for watching. Adios.